I would like to request everyone in the Boots Arena and the TDeFi BizThon Pavilion to join us here for this another insightful session and listen to the great insights shared by our experts. We are creating history by inviting the next blockchain unicorns on stage through our TDeFi BizThon initiative. I think it's the right time to join them in their early days.
It's okay if we stay here, so for the camera. It's okay if we stay here for the camera, for the setup, on two chairs, like that. It's okay? Yeah, yeah, please. So do we start like? No, I don't know. Oh, let's. Do they work? 1, 2, 1, 2.
Testing.
Do we start?
Good morning, everybody. My name is Jorge Sebastiao, and today I have here Adrian, which is a good colleague from Europe. I think we would like to welcome everybody into the GITEX Future Blockchain Summit to Dubai. I think we have over 175,000 visitors with about over 7,000 people in the blockchain space. Obviously, the topic that we'll be covering today is about investment in blockchain, startups, and the ecosystem. Obviously, we have some key important players that assist the ecosystem. I started, for example, EcoX almost 4 years ago, and we held weekly meetups to actually help grow the community and for people to meet each other face to face. We stopped a little bit during the COVID time for about maybe 2 or 3 months, but Dubai has been open for business. And of course, as you know, every conference has its own unique format. So we would like to also obviously thank very much Adi Maleb from Agora Group, which has its own format for conference that organizes very serious investment format for organizations that are looking towards funding, and that we'll explain in a little while. I think there's a lot of intellectual capital in the blockchain space. So there's a lot of brain power. The other two ingredients that need to be added to the mix to make success, one is capital and the other one is ecosystem. So when you combine, you can say the intellectual capital and useful solutions, use cases with the right elasticity of capital and ecosystem to grow the solutions and to create a complete end-to-end solution, then we end up with magic and we end up with a few unicorns. So Adrian obviously has a much wider perspective because coming from Europe, as you know, in Dubai we have over 100 nationalities. We are also have a pleasure of hosting Expo this year, which started about 15 days ago. It's a little bit far away because it's next to the new airport, but I do invite you to go visit. We had also a blockchain event at this Expo as well. If you're interested, just ping me up and I'll send you the links to YouTube. So today, since we're talking about investments, startups, and blockchain, I would like to invite Adrian to introduce himself, some of the value that he brings into this space, and then we'll talk about challenges and solutions as they apply in Europe, since this is our closest proximity here, Middle East itself, and then of course Asia and Africa, Africa and India as emerging markets.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Adrian Niculescu. I'm a Romanian investor and serial entrepreneur. I want to thank Mr. Hadi and George for allowing me to be on this stage today. I want to share a secret with you. I came at GITEX for the first time in 2005 with a delegation from Romania, and after that came in 2006, and I love this show. I'm involved in few projects, Cloudcoin Consortium. Cloudcoin is a post-blockchain digital currency, a project started in 2017. DAO1, a decentralized autonomous organization, a project started in May 2021. And also I'm a venture partner in N Ventures, a Singapore-based fund, and a mentor in Virgin Startups program in UK, which is vetted by Richard Branson. We have a unique opportunity in our life to be part of this change, which happens not only in the financial world, but in the technology world, and not just to be users, to be real players, you know, and involved in this change, so our work becomes meaningful. And how the startups in this space are funded is actually a very, very important topic, which due to the COVID situation had some shifts and some changes, and we'd like to address this in our panel.
Of course, the COVID pandemic has forced us for a period of time to go online. Because of the way blockchain is organized, crowdfunding is quite a unique way, because especially thanks to the work that was done in several blockchains. Of course, the first one almost a bit over 7 years ago was the Ethereum blockchain, which brought the capability for you to create your own tokens, whether they happen to be security tokens or utility tokens. The fact that you're able to add functionality like smart contracts, which enable you to define the rules and the relationships between the investors and the organization that is using the funds for specific projects. Another interesting element that was brought with Ethereum was the concept known as DAO. And DAO stands for Decentralized Autonomous Organizations, which means that the investors themselves can also participate in the decision-making that is being done. Since then, of course, we had many other blockchains that have evolved, that are part of the ecosystem. I'll name maybe one or two, not trying to promote them, but things like, for example, Cardano, which just recently got smart contracts. Then we have other cross-chain solutions like, for example, Polkadot and others. I do believe that the interoperability into the various solutions in blockchain allows startups to create a more cohesive solution that serves the market. But of course, you can say that although we are in the pandemic world, that's why we're here. People require face-to-face communication, especially when it comes to investment. I mean, online Zooms can only get you so far. So I think people need to see somebody else's eyes, do a bit of a handshake, do the proper due diligence as we move forward. But I would like to have Adrian's perspective on this as well.
Over this period, one thing which has changed, and I would like to start with this idea because I like it very much, is that really the next big thing can come from anywhere in the world. You don't need to be in Silicon Valley actually to launch the next unicorn, the next project. Once you have access to the internet, you can access the right mentors. Due to the bans in travel, most investors are okay with having a video call with you, which in the past was impossible. You had to travel to meet face-to-face. And at least for a first discussion, it's okay to have an online one. At the beginning of any project, the equity can be the currency to hire the best talent because it's the best for the future. And if we are looking in the blockchain and in the crypto space, we have the tokens, which if you look at the trading charts, they start to behave in a way like stocks. my formation is in venture capital. So initially I say, okay, equity is something different, and tokens are another thing. But when you bootstrap a project, when you hire talent, there are so many ways today to be creative, actually, and to pitch anybody using LinkedIn. You need somehow to break the barriers in your mind that, okay, I'm from this country, I'm in an unprivileged territory, and so on. And fortunately for all of us, we have ecosystems like Dubai, where everything around you is pushing your limits and is communicating to you. You know, you have to think big, you have to be bold. Impossible doesn't exist, which is very, very important, especially because when you build a startup, when you build a project, there will be so many moments when you want to quit. Not just quit, you want to go maybe to a desert island to say, okay, it's too hard, I can't take it anymore. And if the medium surrounding you is helping you to say, okay, you have to push just a little bit, this is fantastic and can produce real breakthroughs for you. And of course, getting you away from depression and other things which are common to us entrepreneurs.
He brought an extremely important element, which is the team and the talent that is part of the project. So the team, the roadmap, and the use case are extremely important. As you know, in the blockchain space, some projects tend to hide the team, especially if we talk about, you can say, DeFi projects. So some of them, the team is completely invisible, which is not always a good thing. Sometimes this leads to what we refer in our industry as scams or rug pulls, and we have a whole series of coins that have been created that do not provide any utility. One example of this is like what we call meme coins, which to some extent it's something that I think we have a responsibility to help clean up, to actually create our industry in a much more professional way. I think every year we create something like 2,000 to 3,000 coins, and out of this, there is probably anywhere from 1 to 10% that actually turn out to be very useful projects that will go a long way. So for that, it is very important that if you are an investor, to do the necessary due diligence into the project. And this really means understanding the white papers that the project provides, the team, their expertise and the makeup of the team, the roadmap. And I think one important element that I think has changed certainly since the beginning, before people used to invest just from a white paper. Investors are becoming more demanding, and today investors expect projects to have at least a MVP or minimal viable product that they can experience the kind of solution or the use case that is being delivered by the project.
I would like to look into two directions, into the users, so the investors, if you can say like that, and the projects. The thesis of DeFi, crypto, says that the power is brought back to the little guy, right? But with this comes also responsibility. And responsibility means that you need to take the learning curve. You need to study, you need to work a lot on that. You need to invest your time into learning about these technologies, learn about the projects. And unfortunately, we humans, we are wired for shortcuts. We don't want to take a 2 years MBA. We want a 1 weekend MBA. So we expect, you know, when a project is at the beginning, everything to happen so fast. So we rely on influencers. We rely on other people outside of ourselves. So the big secret here is that you need to put in the work, you need to put in the time, you need to learn about these things. And blockchain is like electricity. You don't need to understand 100% of it to use it, but you need to have a certain understanding until a certain level. From the project's perspective, from the founder's perspective, you always have the choice to use your intelligence in two ways: to build better projects for the future or to do work which is not ethical. It's a conscious choice, so my advice is always to be in the first group, because on the long term, this will be the path to go. Of course, sometimes it's very hard. You need to surround yourself with mentors. By mentors, meaning people who are more advanced in what you want to achieve, not necessarily people just preaching theory. This is the way to advance, because when you surround yourself with people who are more advanced than you in what you want to achieve, it will force your subconscious mind to see the new world in front of you, and actually to be able to shift your own reality and to advance. Are like human processes which founders need to know about, and we unfortunately we don't learn about those in school. We need to find books, listen to podcasts, go to network events like the ones you are doing.
Yeah. The other thing that I would like to also bring as an important element is that we have obviously different types of investors. We have retail investors that will look at the makeup of the blockchain coins or that have been issued, and they have obviously much less knowledge. However, today we have institutional investors that come into the space, and they have much stronger demands on the projects and the project teams. So they want to know, is this, what's the business model of the solution that you have created? So tokenomics is extremely important. They want to know what is the scalability of the solution, what is the cost of your customer acquisition, what is the churn that you expect in the projects that you'll be deploying, and what is your customer retainership strategy. I know that we have actually a little bit of limited time, so I will give Adrian one last nugget or action for the people that are here and have joined us in Dubai today.
One closing thought. I just received a badge. It says mentor here. So if you want to ask me something, I will be here today and tomorrow, and I'm always for the contribution. So if you want to pitch somebody for help or for advice, be bold and do it, because you will improve this exercise and you will get out of the comfort zone. Because the growth, and this is my closing thought, the growth always happens outside of the comfort zone. And usually there's a little fear or embarrassing going out of the comfort zone, but this is the only way you grow. Thank you very much for the opportunity to contribute.
The last thing I wanted to just bring is my last thought as well. I have a good friend of mine called Brock Pierce. Many of you, he lives somewhere between Puerto Rico, US, is now going through around South America. And he created, everybody's trying to create a unicorn at the end of the day. And he created an interesting definition of the modern billionaire. And his definition is as simple: is somebody who creates a solution that helps 1 billion people. So think this in your mind. You want to become a billionaire with your startups? Think of a solution that solves the problem of 1 billion people. So where are these billion people? We have 1 billion people in China. We have 1 billion people in India. We have 2 billion people that are Muslims. And I think you can figure out the rest by yourselves. Thank you very much for the opportunity to be here today. Thank you to TDeFi, thank you to GITEX, and thank you to Agora as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you guys for the wonderful